Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Man Temi. Getting right back into it here, we're going to talk a little bit about the 1-8 seed matchups here in this year's NBA playoffs. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers squaring off against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference, as well as the Memphis Grizzlies against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going to start in the East talking about Memphis or Cleveland and Miami, a series that I know Anthony, I don't know if he's still in the chat box here. I want to kind of hear your opinion because I know you had some things to say about them winning both those play-in games early last week, but obviously this is a Miami Heat team that doesn't really have a lot of expectations. A team that's kind of really grown over these last few weeks, over this last month or so. But obviously squaring off against the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the number 2 overall team in all of the NBA overall, and like with best records, second best record in the NBA in the regular season. But I won't lie. Cleveland, obviously the better team. More talent, better players overall, top down overall, no questions asked. But I think it would be unfair if we did not mention how good Miami looked last night. Falling down 19 points in this one in the third quarter. I was personally watching the Celtics Magic game just because I am a Celtics fan. I just in full transparency, but this Cleveland Cavaliers, this series overall is one of the best series. Is one of the more competitive series. It's more competitive than the Celtics Magic, I'd say. The Miami Heat climbing back from 19 points down in classic Miami Heat fashion, as they have time and time again in the NBA playoffs. We've seen it time and time again. Cutting the lead down to 2 points at one point. Tyler Herro and Donovan Mitchell going basket for basket over the last 5 minutes. Davion Mitchell, who's really emerged over these since the play-in tournament. We saw him against the Atlanta Hawks having two crucial plays or multiple crucial plays down the stretch against the Atlanta Hawks, taking the defensive assignment on Trae Young. Just overall being a fantastic player. He finished with 18 points in this one, shooting 7 of 9, 2 for 4 from 3-point range, going 7 for 7 from the field inside of the 3-point arc. Just overall, great game from him. Especially as a role player, as a young player in Davion Mitchell, a player that we remember from the Baylor team. If you guys can think back to his college days in 2022, was it 22 or 23? I think it might have been 2023, but Davion Mitchell, one of those young guys that's really had a quiet rookie year in Sacramento, sent to Cleveland in the DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine deal, and since just really blossomed, had a slow start even here in Miami, but really emerged into his role over these playoffs. Really just play for whatever reason. He's just really emerged and he's really blossomed into this Heat culture and playing phenomenal basketball. Him, Highsmith, a player that's really been taken out in this series is Bam Adebayo, but if you look at it on paper, you kind of expect it. Bam Adebayo having to deal with fending off Evan Mobley and Jared Allen at the same time, sometimes when they're both in the starting lineup, when they're both on the floor together. Bam Adebayo still finishing with a double-double in this one, finishing with more rebounds, not combining for more than both Mobley and Allen, but having more rebounds than both of them, finishing with 11 points, 14 rebounds. Better performance from him than game one, and honestly, is there a way that Miami can make this series interesting? Game one was more of a disparity, Cleveland winning that game by 21 points. That game was a little bit closer. It was more back and forth, but Cleveland just running away with it in the fourth quarter and finishing the game with a 21-point margin of victory. This one, Cleveland winning by 9 points, 121 to 112. But overall, it was just the play of Miami just down the stretch, coming back in this game, especially in the third quarter. Cleveland having a 43-27 massive, that's what, 16-point difference in the second quarter, and then Miami climbing back to bring the lead all the way down to 2. I'm not joking. It was raining threes in the second quarter for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is their strength, and when they can shoot like that, they can match up against anybody in the Eastern Conference, from Boston to even anybody in the West, from Boston to Oklahoma City to LA to Denver. I think they can match up with anybody in either conference, and they're rightfully one of the favorites to make it out of the Eastern Conference and win the NBA championship. So, led by Donovan Mitchell, this game was based off of overall grit from Miami, and then the playoff experience of Donovan Mitchell was just too much. I think Miami has a better chance of winning a game. It's funny because I literally had this conversation while watching the game with one of my buddies. I said Orlando has a better chance of taking a game on Boston in game 3 than Miami or Memphis, but I think Miami also might have a better chance. I think this Miami team is incredibly well coached by Eric Spoelstra. I know Anthony was talking about it, how every game that they win, if they could have just lost both play-in games, they could have just they could have gone up in the lottery picks. They could have had a better NBA lottery draft pick. And I lamented it. I said it then, same way I'm saying it now. Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley are just built on a win at all costs, leave it all on the floor mentality. They never go out and lose games. Even in the D-Wade era, late in D-Wade's career when Miami really wasn't that good, they were still staying competitive in every game. And even without Jimmy Butler, Tyler Herro stepped up into the role of Jimmy Butler and just could play it at a very high level. There's really nothing else. There's not much else to say. Tyler Herro's just playing unbelievable basketball down the stretch here. And major props to him growing into Jimmy Butler's role as the top scoring threat for this team. I talked a lot about the Miami Heat during the segment. I do really want to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. I might just have to cut it a little bit short. Just a quick summary. Memphis losing game 1 to the Oklahoma City Thunder by 51 points. Game 2 being a lot closer. Memphis bringing the lead down to 7 at one point. But I just think the Oklahoma City Thunder pose such a matchup threat. They match up so well. Honestly, no. They're such a matchup heavy team in Oklahoma City. I think they just don't match up well. Or Memphis doesn't match up well against them. And I don't think they can keep up in either a scoring battle. I think in a shootout, I don't think Memphis can stop Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City can stop Memphis with the defensive play of Chet Holmgren on Jaren Jackson Jr., giving him a lot of problems in game 1. Jaren Jackson Jr. obviously having a much better game too. But still, it's going to be interesting to see how this series goes on. And I'm going to say this. I said it when talking about this series 2 days ago on Monday. How is the Taylor Jenkins firing in Memphis going to change what this team could have done in the NBA playoffs? How is the firing of Mike Malone going to affect the Denver Nuggets in the NBA playoffs? We've seen Denver kind of handle that firing a little bit better as they've gone up against the LA Clippers and played 2 unbelievable games there. But Memphis, obviously, the key concern here, the most eyeballs sitting on Memphis, because obviously falling from 2 to 8, losing 2 games, losing game 1 by 50 points, down 2-0 to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that you really didn't need to face if you continue to play at the level that you did as a 2 seed. Just overall, we know Memphis can play at a high level, and we expect them to continue to play at the high level that we know they can, the Oklahoma City Thunder to play at the high level that we know they can. And I'm projecting this series to be a clean sweep when it's all said and done, really. I think it's just going to be quick. It's going to be done quick, fast, and in a hurry. I think if there's any series to be done in a sweep, I really think it's this. I just don't think Memphis matches up with them. They haven't really shown me anything that proves that they can win a game. Maybe they will come out tonight with their backs against the wall, down 2-0, and win this game. But I could also see a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 35-point game, Jalen Williams 25 burger, Chet Holmgren another 15 and 10 performance from him, and the Oklahoma City Thunder winning this one by about 20 plus points. I expect the Thunder to win this game by 15 plus points. I really think that's the disparity. That's the game that we're going to see. And we'll see how it ends up shaking out down the stretch here. But I'm going to take one last short break. When we come back, we're actually going to talk about a topic that was on earlier in the news over the weekend that we didn't really get to talk about over these last few days, just because there's been so much to talk about in the NBA world, both recapping, previewing games. And that's DeMar DeRozan. We're going to talk about his altercation with a fan. I don't know if you saw the video. We'll talk about that video, exactly what transpired there. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what's next for this. We're going to talk about what's next for DeMar DeRozan, what's next for this Sacramento team. We talked a little bit about this last week, but we're going to talk specifically about DeMar DeRozan on some news that's come out about him and what's next, and talk a little bit about his future with Sacramento and what's next for him. I'm going to take a short break, and we're going to talk a little bit about DeMar DeRozan when we come back.